two things mainly I want to talk about, which are also interconnected, and I will not also shy away from bringing the Tarun Tejpal case, which I think in this case is extremely important to talk about. My first concern would be, to begin with, we had in 2012, we had a Nirbhaya case, which is what it's called now, so let's go with it. Or as India TV calls it, Damini. There were a lot of protests, because of which a new law came into being. Now the law is available to us to be used. What happens right after that is, there is a Tarun Tejpal case, which is taken on by the media. There are certain mails which are the prime evidence in that case, which are leaked to the media. The media, after which, decided to do as what it did with it. The mails were spread out, they were sent out to a lot of people, they were read out on. So we know all the details of the case. Tarun Tejpal is in jail right now, and that is one thing. What happened to him in terms of the vilification that he went through, in terms of the public humiliation that he was made to go through on television without actually anything being proved. No case was filed till then. So keeping all of those things in mind, we will then move on to the Khurshid Anwar case. I think that had a Tarun Tejpal case not taken place, situation in the Khurshid Anwar case would have been very, very different. Once in a Tarun Tejpal case, you have seen that prime evidence, having the prime evidence with you, you do not go to the law, you do not go to the police, but instead go to the media and try and get their support to file a case for a person who is presumably educated, not a person who I would consider powerless. A person has taken that decision and taken that route, which is also the route which is being taken later, as we see by the victim in the Khurshid Anwar case. Now, in situations, what happens is that in doing this, we have already undermined the law that everybody fought to have in the first place. What it means is that now this law will only work for those people who have made the evidence or anything else pertaining to the case first and foremost to the media, which is when the media takes it up, and only then does the case take up any importance. So this is what happened in Khurshid Anwar's case, where he was being told about it. A night previously he knew that a story was going to come out. Media people were telling him a story on him was going to be out without actually any evidence against him. It was just a word of mouth, and there is no police report, there was no filing of case. It was again the same thing, evidence being given to the media through an activist, back to a television, and then a vilification campaign could have started long before that he passed away. So we need to look at this entire pattern. We need to look at the fact that are we not undermining the very law we fought for by doing this? And I think this is a very, very important discussion that needs to be discussed about. And the next thing that I want to come to is, of course, the fact that I think feminists across the world, and Shwani, correct me if I'm wrong, have the biggest challenge and struggle for feminists across the world has been a nuanced reading of all law, which is why it is now slightly strange that all prominent feminists are looking for an absolutist role of law in particular cases. So although our principal stand is that we will want bail for everyone, but we will qualify it by saying that that man is not poor enough to get bail. That does not make it a principal stand. It makes it women fancy. I am failing to understand the principal stands the feminists are taking within the purview of this new law, and that I feel needs to be discussed urgently, because these are the people who are also introducing us to this law and introducing a culture which to me does not sound exactly like justice, but perhaps more like policy. And when your justice goes into becoming a policy, then it is not justice, as we know. Justice will have to be individualistic, have to always be looking into the individual merits of the case. So I think we need to define this. We need to define what we understand as feminists and as intellectuals. What do we want really? What kind of a punishment system are we looking at? What kind of a society are we looking at where we absolutely want the most harshest possible punishment? I don't think that is a sign of civilized society. The sign of civilized societies is when we are able to reduce punishment. We are not doing that. We are going the reverse way. And that really is very worrying. We need to think about how we are constantly seeking this. We've seen that in Tarun Tejpal's case, we've seen that in Khurshid Anwar's case, where people are out there in the streets, full of anger, accusing people without having any evidence. There is no law involved. So, does this new law make us more civilized? Or is this new law making us more, I don't know, uncivilized perhaps? Well, I just want to also point out briefly that in the case of Khurshid Anwar, when India TV ran that story, and I think it ran it only once or twice, after which it was archived. Strangely enough, the archive was hidden, and every time we tried to search for that story, we couldn't come to it, because then we later realized that it was archived under Damini. What does Khurshid Anwar have to do with Damini? Nothing. The CD that the CD of the victim was handed over to India TV long before the date on which it was telecast. It was kept within India TV in the hope that they would be able to run this telecast on the same date as that when Damini or Nirbhaya or that the incident took place, the Delhi rape case took place. Why was that? Surely not because they had some goodwill towards the victim. Surely not because they were considering the law. So why? And then later, as we were trying to find that story, we discovered that the story was archived in bits and pieces, not together, which is again a very strange thing for a news channel, as we all know, in clip form, and it was archived Damini. Why? So I think we'll start to maybe discuss these questions.